Edward Cropley, torrential rain in Joburg, a traditional South African sign of good fortune. Weather gods smiling on Zexit. I was asking in December, will it be 1994 all over again? Interesting piece in Bloomberg, the inside story of how Cyril Ramaphosa toppled Jacob Zuma and won South Africa's presidency. Late on the evening of February 4, Ramaphosa and the 5 other top leaders of South Africa's ruling party went to President Zuma's Cape Dutch colonial-style residence in the capital, Pretoria. They shared a dinner of chicken, rice, oxtail and salad. The message was less pleasant. It was time for the 75-year-old leader to go. Zuma, in power since 2009, dug in his heels. Zuma basically said to us, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not convinced by you guys. I'm not going to resign, said Paul Mashatile. We tried to persuade him. We spent a lot of time. At the end, we said, that's fine. It began on December 16 when more than 4,000 delegates descended on the NASREC conference centre in Soweto near Johannesburg for the ANC's national conference. Zuma's term as party leader was up and a new chief had to be chosen. With prosecutors circling to indict him on graft charges related to an arms deal in the 1990s, Zuma needed to ensure that he had his successor's protection. Party tradition dictated that the top job should go to Ramaphosa, its deputy leader. He'd won international acclaim when he steered talks that ended apartheid and produced South Africa's first democratic constitution, and had served as the country's deputy president since 2014. Instead, Zuma backed his ex-wife Dlamini Zuma, mother of 4 of his more than 20 children. His confident demeanor in the lead-up to the gathering indicated that he thought she had the contest in the bag. What Zuma hadn't counted on was 3 court rulings that disqualified about 100 of his allies from voting, and on a decision by David Mabuza, a key power broker in the eastern Mpumalanga province, to switch allegiances shortly before the election. When Ramaphosa was declared the winner of the ANC presidency on December the 18th with 52% of the vote, Zuma sat stony-faced, pursed his lips and didn't applaud. He was completely caught off guard. And there's a fantastic video that's been posted about that. That was the turning point for South Africa. Ramaphosa became increasingly assertive over the next few weeks. He did it in small increments. Then he went full scale against the Guptas. And so he turned up the dial to like 11, turned it back down, went up in increments of 0.2. Faced with the inevitability that Parliament would vote him out if he didn't go voluntarily, Zuma announced his resignation in a televised address later that night. I asked in December, Ramaphosa could well be the ignition for returning South Africa back to that incredible moment of promise in 1994. South Africa's bonds are getting more love than Mexico's. The bond market has rallied. Take a look at this chart from Bloomberg. This is a first in emerging markets. South Africa has always been the underdog that you would definitely avoid. And Mexico was a darling of emerging market investors for more than 2 decades. As I said, if Ramaphosa succeeds in wresting the leadership of the ANC, South African asset prices will enter the sweetest of sweet spots, and indeed they have. Global investors, I said, will buy the rand by the bucket load, and I was talking about a rally towards 12, which we've crossed, then 11, which we're aiming for, and then in my view 10. The stock market will soar as the banks are re-rated bigly. I wrote in December, South African stocks surged after Zuma stepped down. JSE Top 40 Index rose 3.7% yesterday. South African all shares up 0.05%. Dollar versus rand, take a look at this chart. You can see we're breaking high in the ZAR. Interesting article from November last year, Jacob Zuma, the Guptas and the selling of South Africa. One of the Guptas has apparently escaped through the airport.